Did you just witness one of the most jaw-dropping displays of basketball selfishness this season? Basketball fans are buzzing after Angel Reese's latest performance, where she completely froze out teammate Lexie Hull, who was standing alone under the basket with her arms raised. This wasn't just any missed opportunity, it perfectly highlighted the concerning issues plaguing Reese's game. Why would a professional player ignore such an obvious pass? And how did Reese go from posting near double-double numbers in the first half to 0 points after halftime? The answer might explain why Chicago Sky fans should be worried, more specifically the Rose BC, more specifically Angel Reese, and how one performance, and most importantly one particular play, should send a shiver of fear, should frighten the hell out of Chicago Sky fans everywhere, because it's something, frankly, Sky fans saw a lot of last year, and I have been vocal about, and that's the fact that when Angel Reese gets the ball in her hands anywhere close to the basket. What's up, basketball fans? Today we're breaking down a moment that has WNBA and unrivaled basketball league viewers absolutely stunned. If you follow women's basketball, you've probably seen the clip that's spreading like wildfire across social media. A play so shocking, it's forcing fans to question Angel Reese's basketball IQ, court awareness, and team-first mentality. Let me set the scene for you. Rose BC needed points and had the perfect setup. Lexie Hull made a brilliant cut to the basket, finding herself with absolutely no defenders around her. I mean, completely alone. The kind of position where players are already celebrating the 2 points before the ball even arrives. And here's where it gets mind-boggling. Angel Reese, with the ball in her hands and a clear view of Hull standing there with her arms raised, just ignored her. Instead of making the obvious pass, Reese literally turned her back on her wide-open teammate. She forced up her own contested shot with defenders all over her, and predictably, she missed it completely. Let's look at this play one more time. You can see Hull cutting to the basket, getting perfect positioning with no defender in sight. Her arms are up. She's calling for the ball. This is basketball 101. This is the pass every coach from elementary school through the pros teaches you to make. But Reese doesn't even look her way. She turns, backs down, and forces up a difficult shot that has no chance. This isn't just a random bad decision in the heat of the moment. This is basketball tunnel vision at its worst. It's like Reese has blinders on. Once she gets the ball in her hands, the court shrinks to just her and the basket, and her teammates might as well be invisible. I can't believe it. Lexie Hull couldn't be more wide open than she was there with nobody around. Just a simple lay-in. Angel gets an assist and plays good, sound basketball. Never happened. The numbers from this game tell an even bigger story. Reese finished shooting just 4 out of 10 from the field, and those misses weren't from difficult shots. We're talking about basic finger rolls and close-range attempts, the exact same finishing issues she struggled with throughout last season with the Chicago Sky. These are shots a professional basketball player should be making consistently. Think about what this does to team chemistry. Imagine being Lexie Hull in that moment. You've done everything right. You've created space. You're wide open, calling for the ball, ready to help your team, and your teammate won't even look at you. How demoralizing is that? How does that affect your energy on the next defensive possession? How does it impact your willingness to make those cuts on future plays? Lexie Hull was starving to death right there, wide open. By the way, Hull went 1 of 9 from the field in this game. She couldn't hit either, but I couldn't find any blatant instances of her being downright selfish. Said before, guys, I've tried to be real honest about the fact that I think Angel's more concerned about being an influencer, content creator, over being a better basketball player. And I think this might be the perfect example of that. All right, this is either before or right after the game. They got destroyed in this game, by the way. They did. This was her taking pictures, hanging out with some rappers and producers. What we're witnessing here is basketball selfishness that hurts everyone involved. It hurts Hull, who doesn't get the easy bucket she created. It hurts the team that misses out on almost guaranteed points, and ultimately, it hurts Reese herself, whose inefficiency around the rim becomes magnified when she's forcing shots instead of taking what the defense gives her. I don't care that Lexi Hull was cold from the field. She didn't do well in this game either. But no thanks to Angel Reese, they certainly lost points on this possession. That selfish play was just the symptom of a much bigger issue that exploded in the second half. How does a professional basketball player go from posting a near double-double before halftime to contributing absolutely 0 points after the break? The answer reveals everything about why Chicago Sky fans should be hitting the panic button right now. Rose BC was on a 5-game winning streak, and a win would have propelled them to a playoff spot. Their star trio of Chelsea Gray, Lexi Hull, and Angel Reese surely had the win in sight, but the performance only came from one. The Chi-Town Barbie performance was a far cry from the dominant 2023 she had just had days ago. Let's look at those first half numbers again. 8 points and 10 rebounds in just 13 minutes. That's actually impressive production. Any coach would be thrilled with that kind of efficiency. You'd expect Reese to come out of the locker room ready to dominate and help her team secure a win. Instead, we witnessed one of the most dramatic disappearing acts in recent memory. 0 points, not a single bucket, not even a free throw. It's like someone flipped a switch, and the player who was grabbing boards and scoring in the first half just vanished. Her game yesterday was ugly, real ugly. 4 of 10 from the field. We're back to that can't shoot from the field at all problem. We're back to not making layups. It was bad. It really was. She got completely shut out in the second half of this game. Not involved at all. And here's where things get really concerning. Reese picked up 4 personal fouls in the second half. That's not just bad luck. That's a clear sign of defensive frustration and lack of discipline. When a player starts racking up fouls like that, it forces them to play more passively on defense or forces the coach to bench them entirely. Either way, their impact on the game plummets. So this is what happened. At halftime, Angel Reese had 8 points, 10 rebounds in 13 minutes. She shot 4 of 9 from the field, including 0 for 1 from beyond the arc, 0 of 1 from the free throw line. She had 2 turnovers. In the second half, she disappeared, folks. While Reese was busy collecting fouls and contributing nothing on offense, Chelsea Gray was putting on an absolute clinic on the other side. 38 points. That's what a true competitor does. Steps up when the lights are brightest. Gray wasn't just scoring. She was leading, creating opportunities, and willing her team to victory. Chelsea Gray was fighting for her life out there. Scored 38 points. 38 damn points. The contrast couldn't be more dramatic. One player rises to the challenge, takes responsibility, and elevates everyone around her. The other shrinks from the moment, becomes a liability, and leaves her teammates hanging when they need her most. To solve the troubles, Captain Chelsea Gray stepped up big time. She ended the night with 38 points out of the team's 62 plus 8 rebounds. That's why a fan added, "Poor Chelsea. She's really doing all she could do to save her teammates." What's particularly troubling is that this wasn't just Reese having an off shooting night. This wasn't about missed shots or tough defense. This was a complete surrender. When things got difficult, when the fouls started piling up, she had no plan B, no way to adjust her game to remain effective while playing with foul trouble. The 22-year-old failed to add any points in the second half and ended with 13 boards. By the way, she also got herself in foul trouble. 4 personal fouls. Elite players find ways to impact the game even when their primary skills are neutralized. If scoring isn't working, they create for others. If they can't be aggressive on defense, they focus on positioning and rebounding. Reese did none of that. When her initial approach failed, she had nothing else to offer. The lack of awareness here as to what to do with the ball and the selfishness is appalling. Frankly, if you're a Hoops fan, if you're a basketball fan, and you watch this, I don't give a damn if you are an Angel Reese fan. You can't tell me this is not egregious. Imagine being one of Reese's teammates. You see her grab 10 rebounds before halftime and think, great, She's going to carry that energy into the second half, then nothing. Complete abandonment when the going gets tough. How does that affect team chemistry? How do you trust someone who disappears exactly when you need them most? Now I know people feel a certain type of way about Angel. It is what it is, but Angel has to do better with controlling the narrative, because what she's doing is making it worse, adding fuel to the fire, and she does this like every damn week, adding fuel to the fire. That team chemistry issue we just discussed, it's not an isolated incident. Marina Mabrey wanting out of Chicago wasn't some random career move. It was a direct response to exactly what we're seeing now, when a talented perimeter shooter like Mabrey suddenly wants to leave a promising team. You have to ask why, and now the answer is staring us right in the face. We saw her all year last year with the Chicago Sky, rebound after rebound after rebound. Perimeter shooters just Kennedy Carter over there on life support. Nobody's getting the ball thrown back out. No wonder Marina Mabrey wanted out of town, because once that ball got in Angel Reese's hands, everybody else on the team was going to starve to death. Remember how Reese handled possessions with the Sky? Perimeter shooters would get completely ignored, game after game, possession after possession. These weren't just occasional mistakes. This was a systematic problem where teammates felt starved for opportunities whenever Reese touched the ball. The pattern has simply transferred from Chicago to Rose, BC, without missing a beat. We know that the unrivaled league has been going up and down with its viewership. Some people have been tuning in, watching it. Some people haven't been tuning in, watching it. One thing I can say is Angel's keeping it entertaining with the antics. There have been rappers and celebrities pulling up, showing support to this basketball league, trying to help it get off the ground, and it seems like the support is just not enough. What's truly troubling is how Reese's priorities seem completely misaligned with what her team needs. While her teammates were battling it out on the court, where her team desperately needed her contribution, she was busy taking photos with rappers and producers, building her brand instead of building team chemistry. I've tried to be real honest about the fact that I think Angel's more concerned about being an influencer's content creator over being a better basketball player. And I think this might be the perfect example of that. And it gets worse. After the game, Reese was seen alongside rapper Gunna. Think about that for a second. That just showed how Reese's attention was divided. Is it any wonder her performance suffered? How can you expect to maintain competitive intensity when you're treating game time like a networking opportunity? This was either before or right after the game. Oh, they got destroyed in this game. By the way, this was her taking pictures, hanging out with some rappers and producers, etc. Gunna was at the game. He got interviewed during the game. Oh, this isn't about hating on Reese for having a public profile. Many athletes balance celebrity and performance brilliantly. This is about priorities and timing. There's a place for building your brand, but it can't come at the expense of your primary job, helping your team win basketball games. The most damaging aspect of all this is how it affects team dynamics. Basketball is the ultimate team sport. 5 players must function as a single unit with complete trust in one another. But how can teammates trust someone who consistently puts personal stats and personal brand above team success? How can they rely on someone who disappears when things get tough? Even Lexi Ho played bad in this game, but Angel is just legendary. I mean, she's horrible. This tweet right here stated, "Poor Chelsea, she's really doing all she could do for her teammates. She's doing all she could do. Of course she's going to look like the damn point guard. She's doing all she could do." For Chicago Sky fans, this should trigger serious alarm bells. What you're seeing with Rose, BC isn't just a bad game or a rough patch. It's a preview of what your season might look like. The rebounding numbers will always be there for Reese. That's never been in question, but basketball is about so much more than individual stats. Chicago Sky fans, Camila Cardoso is probably ultimately the best player on your team, or should be, but how are you ever going to find out? How are you ever going to find out? If you're sitting there staring at what's 25 and 10 or 12 every night, if she can't get the ball, what we're witnessing is a player who hasn't yet learned that true greatness in basketball comes from making everyone around you better. Until Reese understands that fundamental truth, this pattern will continue, teammates feeling ignored, chemistry suffering, and teams underperforming despite individual talent. And all of this falls back to when she was at LSU stating that she doesn't have a problem with being the villain. Well, this is the villain role that she has accepted in the WNBA, I guess, because she is constantly in the headlines for the wrong reasons. What we're seeing with Angel Reese goes beyond stats and highlights. Basketball experts are pointing to a fundamental issue that's harder to fix than shooting percentages. Her basketball IQ and decision-making are simply not where they need to be. This isn't just armchair criticism. Analysts have directly linked her refusal to pass to open teammates like Hull to team chemistry problems. And you see what happens. Her team took a bad loss right there. That's crazy. Some could say, well, you know, she was shut out in the second half. She got in foul trouble. All right. But there's gotta be some basketball awareness that comes with playing smart enough basketball to keep yourself out of foul trouble. If this breakdown got you thinking about basketball fundamentals and team chemistry, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to catch our next analysis and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest WNBA coverage. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Reese can overcome these issues, or is this who she is as a player? Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.